welcome back here on the show, and this is still Prime Morning, and it's time for us to do our entertainment review here on the show today. We started a conversation last week. We didn't finish, so we want to try and see where we can take it to today here on the show. But it's all about the Guinness World Records. Now, we've established a lot of things that you need to know as far as the records is concerned, the applications, the processes, and also some of the holders and the entire fuss about everybody wanting to achieve something with the Guinness World Records. And so this morning we're trying to see how best we can, move past that process and go into the impact of what this brings to society. But once again, let me remind you that we all know us at this moment that it doesn't bring any financial gains to anybody who embarks on it. That is the basic thing you need to know about it. The Guinness World Records will not pay you for embarking on that journey and attempting and even maybe getting to be a holder in the first place. If nothing at all, to even fast track the process for you to be declared or be verified or be recognized or whatever it is, you need to pay some monies for that. And so, that's what you should know, first of all. But let's get into it. This morning in the studio, I have over here the one and only, the Deputy Head Corporate Affairs, the man Kofi, Atta Kakra Kusi is here with me. And you all know that he represents the Ghana Tourism Authority. And he's a family to this family. And also, Afua Asantewaa will be joining us via Zoom. I've got Chantelle, Kuukua, Eghan, who will be joining us on Zoom as well. Is the mother of the youngest artist, Liam, who just finished his also some days back, and she's also joining us via Zoom. And if you can hear me, a very good morning going out to all of you on Zoom. Please unmute so I'll be able to hear you. Okay, there you are. And my brother, Kofi, is also joining us as well. He's a data analyst, also joining us from Joynews. And in studio, I've got the man, Dennis Gawuga, who's also joined as communications manager, CFAO, Mobility Ghana, advertising and brand design expert, also joining us here on the show. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I hope you're good.
Great.
You're all looking fabulous.
Thank you, bro.
One is in the return, the other one is in suit. I am on shoulder pad.
Absolutely. The man came.
But I mean, let me say a big thank you to you for making time for us this morning.
Right.
My brothers and sisters on Zoom, if you can hear me, thank you so much for joining us here on the show today. So we started something last week, and it's all about the record and what we've been, seeing over the period. I'd want to start from you, Dennis, because it is important that we get to know that a lot of things go into this before even you want to think about financial aspect. Before you get there, what are some of the things that you need to do in terms of you as a person? Personality-wise, how do you have to project yourself? Brand-wise, how do you have to put yourself out there so that if you're even doing it like Afua has gone through it, people would even be interested in coming to you and say, oh, you branded yourself well, you did this, that, and also because of that, we want to be part of your brand.
Okay, that's an interesting angle. I wasn't expecting it. But really and truly, when you look at all the attempts at the world records, there are individual attempts, there are attempts that are made just because people want people to know them on social platforms, etc. But I think most people make these attempts because they have the ability to, and they want to stretch themselves and let people know they can do that. They have a passion for it, and so it's something they're very passionate about, and they want to let the world know what their passion is and basically stretch it once again. So you need to, of course, definitely have built yourself up in a particular skill space to be able to stretch yourself beyond so that people can also accept you for what you are able to do. Brand-wise, I mean, nobody might know you, but it will be probably through this feat that people will get to know you, and how you carry yourself afterwards is what will build you, even though, like you said, Guinness doesn't pay anything immediately. But then the spin-off, how you manage the spin-off is what is going to get you the returns that you require or you need.
Okay. Kusi, from the tourism perspective, those that we have seen, are you excited about the kind of results they're receiving in terms of what it adds to themselves as a person?
Yeah, KMJ, before I continue, let me kindly and respectfully say a big greetings to our Chief Executive, Mr. Kusi and the entire tourism value chain stakeholders. There is a lot that adds up to the individual and also to Ghana's tourism industry. If you look at what we have gained, looking at one of the pillars of Beyond the Return, one of them is Brand Ghana. And personally, they have been able to brand themselves and then brand the country also out there. So for them, it's more or less the global recognition that it comes with, right? In as much as it comes with that global recognition, you would realize that apart from the branding aspect, also the personality has what we call personal fulfillment. Nakuma Toniyam, yes, as in chi, to wit, right? So it is something that, of course, the country also gains a lot of benefit in terms of branding. But of course, I know that we'll go into some of these aspects. So I may not want to go and talk more.
All right, we'll see. And we've got figures, but I'm sure maybe when we get there, we'll get a few figures too.
Right.
Justify what we're saying. But Kofi, if you can hear me, Kofi, if you can hear me.
Good morning, KMJ.
Great. Good to have you on the show once again. You follow a lot in terms of our economic standings, and when it comes to what we have seen so far with the Guinness World Records. Now let's look at December. A lot happened in December, especially with Afua's attempt. Did it impact on the economy in any way, according to the data maybe you probably have?
Right, so I'm actually looking at the data put together by Bank of Ghana, what they call the Summary of Economic and Financial Statement. That gives you a fair idea of activities going on in the Ghanaian economy. But we are talking about Guinness Book of Records and people trying to break records and attempting to break other ones. You have to link this to the first aspect of the economy that comes to mind, which is tourism. I mean, in Ghana, if indeed we really pay attention to this industry, we realize how significant it is to the growth of our economy and then also its contribution to the Ghanaian economy. The data that I have, if you look at our tourism industry, for instance, it contributes about 5% of our GDP. And I may not have readily available data to look at the actual returns we've got from, the Guinness World Record, attempts and all of those things. But indirectly, I can tell you that there's something really positive going on in our tourism industry, where positions in terms of the foreign exchange earners of the country have actually changed. I mean, if you look at the available data put together by the Bank of Ghana, you look at a country like Ghana, there are, let me say, 5 top sources that we get forex. The reason why, as a country, we always find ourselves in a very dire situation economic-wise is the fact that we don't print dollars in this country, but most of our economic activities are done in dollars. And so you need aspects of your economy that will bring in this forex or, monies or foreign exchange. And so on top of the list in 2023 was gold. Gold brought in some $7.8 billion in 2023, followed by, oil, about $3.8 billion. And then, I don't know if you will be surprised, tourism is actually third place with about $3.7 billion. Tourism in 2023 brought in some $3.7 billion.
Whoa.
And that's number 3. Even before we start talking about cocoa, which brought in less than 3 billion, about 2.8 billion in 2023, and the remittances. So these are the top 5 giants when you talk about, aspects of our economy that brings in significant portions of foreign exchange into the country. Now, let me even begin to discount this, earnings. And if I discount, you realize that as a country, we are able to export gold worth $7.8 billion. But the actual amount that comes to the coffers of the state is less than $1 billion. And so if you do the discounting and trying to seasonalize the data a bit, you realize that you can even put tourism as the number 1 earner of foreign exchange, followed by remittances, before we even start to talk about gold, cocoa, and even oil.
Wow.
So if you look at our country, for instance, yes, we are in an IMF program that is giving us $3 billion. And for us to get that $3 billion, we've got to we had to do a whole lot of things. We had to do debt restructuring, which has led to some of our banks currently facing difficulties. We had to do, haircuts. People suffered their investment, only to get $3 billion. But there is an aspect of the economy, which is tourism, that really brings in close to $4 billion every year. And if we're able to focus on that, we will be reaping a lot from this sector.
I see.
I mean, I was surprised. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to you to give us another angle of it. But let me speak to Chantelle briefly and find out. Chantelle, before allowing your son to embark on this project, the Guinness World Records, did you project in terms of what economic benefit will come to you as the mother or maybe as the child?
To be honest, before we had even applied for the Guinness World Record, he had already created some paintings. So my thinking or thought process was more long-term for him, in the sense that if he creates these number of paintings from 6 months, by the time he's 18, he'll be able to have a big exhibition. But the Guinness World Record was more like a side thing that came. So for the economic gains, I don't think I really thought about it in that way. For me, I was thinking when he's older, then he can reap the benefits. But it seems like he can start now at the age of 1, because after his exhibition, we have art buyers who are reaching out to us all over the world to want to acquire his paintings.
All right, so for you, that's where your focus is. It's not really about what, the Guinness directly, the record directly brings to him. It's about the external effect that comes with it.
Yeah, I think more like it, because with his, it's quite different. When you look in the art world, people will say it's more niche. It's a niche market. You have to appreciate art to want to buy it. Yes, so that's how it is. But for the Guinness will add value to whatever he's doing now. Because if he has a record as the youngest artist, his paintings are going to be definitely more valuable, and it's going to bring more financial and economic gains to him. Not to me as his mother, to him as a child.
Okay. Dennis, let's look at this aspect of it. Some people tried, they are getting love, and love as in brands wanting to be part of them. Others did, they are not really getting that love they're supposed to get. What does one have to do getting into this in terms of marketing, in terms of branding, so that when you're done, you're readily available for all the things that comes with it? Because obviously the Guinness World Records won't pay you for anything.
Yeah, I think it's a hit or miss situation when
in this case.
In this case, you can watch the trends and see how it started. West Africa started the attempt with the Kuukua.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the main.
That was the opener. Let me put it.
Let's say that's the opener, and then of course our very own. Afua, Chef Afua, and then Fila also went in. But these are two separate events, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm focusing more on the cooking, mainly because, the cooking thing started, it peaked at a certain point. It peaked at our point, where Chef Fila basically took it to the full length. Yeah. Of course, Hilda started it, and then a few other chefs came in, and then it peaked at our point. Now, from that point on, there's fatigue. People start getting fatigued about it. I recently heard about another attempt, and that's an 18-day straight cooking attempt. But
there's one in Kumasi that is about
exactly. But you measure and listen and see how much hype is going on about those ones. So I think for whoever is trying to attempt whatever, you also need to steady the waters and see what appropriate time is best for you to go in. That way you get acceptance. And also your feed should also be as unique as possible. The key thing with branding or brands is distinctivity. Being able to be distinctive from the other person or the other thing or the other product. So how distinctive is your attempt or whatever it is that you want to put out there to the world? If it's not, then you actually need to study and see if it's the right timing for you to go in I'm saying that because if 16 people have already tried, I mean, people are already getting fatigued about it. So you need to be distinctive, basically. That's the main thing that I would say for someone who wants to attempt these. And yeah, brands will find you unique, brands will find you interesting, and they may want to get onto it.
Even the two that we have done, people are tired. So I understand where Dennis is coming from. But do you want this to continue? From your point,
it works for him. It works for him. So.
You know, from the
and let me know how you want it to continue.
From the marketing perspective, a bit of information. Yesterday, CFAO officially called on our chief executive. I was there personally also. We had a number of conversations, so it's just information. You know, this Guinness World Record it puts Ghana on the international map. Right. Like I mentioned early on, one of our pillars of Beyond the Return, which is a marketing campaign the tourism authority is involved in, is Brand Ghana. So you would realize that the Guinness World Record attempt is helping to put Ghana on the international map. Apart from that, the global recognition, no two ways about that. Like my dear brother Dennis indicated, most of these personal brands, Afua, Asantewaa, Kuukua, CFAO, Executive CFAO, all those brands also would have their added advantages, right? Aside to that, like Kofi also indicated, the data analyst, making it clear that now we can confidently say that tourism obviously is almost approaching the number one. You know, he made some analysis indicating that if you remove certain things, if you discount one or two stuff, even tourism can be number one. So that means that we want the Guinness World Record to continue because it obviously helps with our marketing, branding, and campaign to be able to rake in more into the national kitty. When we were up in Côte d'Ivoire, AFCON, what we did was to push Afua Asantewaa there. She was all over the place. She was all over the place. Why did we do that? It was part of our marketing strategy to pull in. If you look at our statistics for 2022, Côte d'Ivoire is number 6th number of countries that visited Ghana in 2022.
Okay.
Right, 2023 report is yet to come out. But if you look at our 2022 report, we have USA, we have Britain, we have Liberia, we have Netherlands, we have Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire is also there as number 6. So then it tells us that if we are to continue with these marketing campaigns, just as we have done with Afua Singathon, we are virtually going to reap the needed benefit in terms of the Guinness World Record. Apart from that, it creates a lot of jobs and employment for the team in youth. Now, anytime when somebody is attempting to break a record, look at the number of corporate bodies that come close up, right? The brands that get associated with, right? And then where it even takes place, it opens up if it is in a particular region. Look at what happened with Tamale. You realize that Tamale came on fire. Ghanaians, a lot of airlines and Passion and then Africa World, they were all going there. So you realize that it helps to push the economy in a number of ways. Jobs creation, employment creation, and then even that sense of national cohesion. You would see that when we had the Singathon, a lot of Ghanaians came together to support one another. And then Kuukua, we are experiencing the same with other tones that are upcoming. So with the Ghana Tourism Authority, this should continue to help with the marketing brand campaign and also help with economic impact. The economic impact also helps us to be able to say that, yes, tourism, like Kofi, the data analyst indicated, tourism can become number one foreign exchange earner for this country.
I think that will be surprise to many who are watching this morning in terms of the position that the tourism is able to.
Like Kofi said, our projection for last year was 1.2 million tourists with a corresponding revenue of $3.4 billion.
Okay.
But you see, with the statistics from the Bank of Ghana analysis, we have $3.7 billion. So then it means that we have been able to step up
in terms of the numbers.
Exactly. In terms of the
that's what pushes the monies to up.
Thank you, my brother. So it means that the Guinness World Records was able to bring in more tourists, and then also it has been able to increase the revenue base for our local economy. It is a good way.
This is interesting. Dennis, and I'll come back to you, Kofi. We need to understand what we can do to push that number one that we're looking at. Chantelle, I'll join you very soon. But Dennis, so for one who is attempting to do it, you mentioned that it's a hit or miss. We've seen many others still wanting to, take this risk or whatever it is that they want to do. Would you advise that the way things are going, we should just decide that we want a break? So maybe the tourism industry or whoever it is, issues a statement that we want to plan this and plan it well. So from marketing point of view, before we're able to put Ghana out there like the way we would, let's take a break. And then maybe at the end of the year, we can decide on that.
I think
this one you're speaking for the entire country, or maybe the tourism, tourism sector.
I mean, this is also an aspect of the tourism, our culture that basically brings in the revenues that have been, tabled right now, and it's quite interesting. I'll just digress quickly. The UK rakes in so much money, so many millions in pounds. With their education drives. People go to the UK for school and all of that. So if we have identified this as one of the drivers for our economy, I think it's prudent that we focus our efforts on the low-hanging fruits that bring us the revenue to show up our economy as much as possible. Ipsos, an international research company, literally does national brand index reports every year from 2008. And it shows all the countries that are working well in terms of their country brands. Okay. And they use about 6 different indices to measure, with tourism being one of them, the people, the culture, governance, the exports of the country, the immigration and investment, and of course they have their own score index that they use to tabulate that. So these 6 points, they have rankings every year, and it's quantifiable data, like verifiable data. So I think that with all these attempts, coming back to your question, with all these attempts, we should look at a very holistic approach to trying these attempts that basically highlight our flora and fauna of the country. I mean, we have the highest peak in Ghana, in Africa, I think. Afua. So is there something that can be done around that so that focus comes on it? There's things happening in Kweu. People are paragliding and stuff. Is there anything that can be built around, any record-breaking attempt that can be built around? Maybe the longest glide, the highest glide, I don't know. But is there anything that can be built around it? So it opens it up, and then the country is also networked into it. And that way, big corporate Ghana as well can also come in and support all these attempts, because brands want to be. I mean, of course, the Guinness Book of Records definitely is a brand that started it. A brand is the what started.
And they also enjoy the
leverage from
all that comes with it.
Red Bull basically owns the high octane extreme sports category because that's something the brand wants to project. That's what the brand projects. Actually, Red Bull gives you wings. It gives you the energy to do extra. So for people wanting to do the high octane, the high extreme sports type thing, they push it, and now they literally own that category. So I think the potential is there. It's very, very big. We should dream big, be very creative about it, explore, and I think,
I was asking because the major concern has been the fact that we are kind of abusing it. And that's why I want to know that strategically, before we end up becoming a country that has gotten into something and we are all over the place with it, so that the world sees us a certain type of way, how can we strategically do it so it doesn't become like we're desperately wanting to be whatever?
I think we can't control what any individual wants to do. I mean, someone may want to attempt something so many times, and it's all part of the human endeavor. It's all part of human achievement and stuff. We should celebrate it, but we should also be circumspect. Of course, the Ghana Tourism Board Authority, is also involved heavily in this. I mean, we can also curate all of these experiences and basically encourage people to involve the larger Ghana narrative so that it makes it interesting. I mean, we're showcasing ourselves to the world. Yes, we can cook, but is that all we can do? So what I'm saying is let's explore, let's open it up. Much as we can't stop people from doing or making attempts, we should open it up and make it more interesting for the Ghana brand and then for the individuals also involved.
Okay. Kofi, we have the potential of becoming number one, and I'm excited about this because I'm not sure about how many people who have an idea. We're doing pretty well in terms of what we're doing with tourism. How do we clear the others that are there and
I like this
become the number one? Because that's what we're looking forward to. I know it's difficult,
Let's clear them.
with a smile on Kofi's face, but how do we do this? Kofi,
In real terms, tourism is supposed to be number one. That's what I said, that if you discount, because we say gold brings in 7.8 billion, but you have foreign companies that after mining, they take almost about 90% of the money away. And we only get less than $1 billion as a country. But as for tourism, it doesn't come into one consolidated account. It comes into different pockets, and it helps, ease people's burdens. But what we have to do is what we call the integration. So I loved it when the Ghana Tourism Authority actually took Kuukua, Asantewaa to, the Africans, because we need to now start to integrate tourism, entertainment, and then also, other aspects of the economy. So there's music, there's tourism, there's sports as well. We need to find ways and means to integrate them. Because, once we are very intentional about what we want to do with tourism, we can get a lot. Because there is empirical evidence in 2019, when we started the year of return, we got about 1.1 million people leaving their home countries and arriving in Ghana just for the year of returns. And guess what? How much we're able to rake in? $3.3 billion in 2019. So there is enough and sufficient data to tell you that this is an industry that we must not play with, and a lot of integration must go on. Tourism is not just about people picking their bags and packing stuff and coming into your country, but also, they can just stay in their countries, find out things about Ghana. Once they know about Afua and then they know about Fila and people breaking records, they want to know this country, Ghana, what are they doing? They want to know our music, they want to know our food. And all of those things are means of tourism. And we are actually not on the tarmac again in terms of tourism. Take it up. And we need to consolidate that gain because, you have people breaking records, players scoring goals like Kusi at West Ham. West Ham fans are now crazy about Ghana as a means of tourism. You also have other people doing great things elsewhere, musicians doing great music and people streaming. So, I look at this data and I realize that if we are able to really integrate, we can gain a lot. Because even if you look at just music streaming, KMJ, I know you'll be particular about music streaming across the globe. The market, the magnitude of the music streaming market worldwide is about $32 billion. $32 billion. It's more than a lot of countries, their GDP. And this is estimated to hit somewhere $45 billion by 2027. But if you look at Ghana's, contribution to this, in terms of how much we are milking from this big market, we are not doing enough to even take advantage of the music streaming. Just imagine a market size of $32 billion, and in 2023, we're doing just $1.22 million. There's a lot. There's enough room for us to explore. And it is anticipated that even when we get to 2027, music streaming alone could bring in 1.9 million. That's not enough. It's significant money, but if we're able to do a lot, integrate, tourism, music, sports, entertainment, we can get a lot from it.
Okay.
And then we see that the industry will take the number one spot.
Great. Great. Unfortunately, our time is up, but real quick, Chantelle, what do you want to tell Ghanaians in terms of support for your son after the attempt?
Right now, even before that, I hear all of them in the studio, even Kusi, talking about music.
Oh, Chantelle has frozen. I would have loved to. Okay, Chantelle.
Ways the art is always left out. So I want to say that if there's a way Ghana tourism can also find a way of projecting art, because it's not always about singing, it's not always about music. The art has the ability to also promote tourism. If there's a way to do that, it will also help, because art is a way of generating funds too. So if it's overlooked so much, we have very good artists in the country, very old and very young. But if we focus our attention on a particular group, maybe music and entertainment, and we forget the arts, I feel like we're not doing enough to promote tourism as well.
Okay. In our next conversation next week, I'm going to force Kusi to make Ace an ambassador. Not just that, I'm going to make sure that he's taken to all over the places in schools for the young kids to also, get to be inspired by what he has been able to do. Unfortunately, our time, so we won't be able to do much. But next week, I promise you that we're going to have some more conversation around this. And my brother will actually accept that. I'll go straight to my boss's office too as well. Tell him that I'm coming. We'll make sure it happens. But gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. And thank you, Chantelle. Thank you, Kofi. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you so much, my brother, Kakra, for coming through. And thanks to you for watching. This has been our conversation for the day. And here on Prime Morning, we're back on Monday at 6 a.m. Please do well to be part of our conversations as well. My name is KMJ. I did this with Rosalind Felly. Have a good morning. We'll see you on Monday.